Hello. The big news this week, Conductor One has raised a ton of money. Is it the highest raise in Portland this year? We'll wait and see. And then big global news is industry news is NVIDIA is now worth $5 trillion. They were just worth 4. Now they're worth 5. But before we get into that, quickly, first of all, if you're watching this on Friday evening, happy Halloween. And of course, if you're watching it after Friday evening, Merry Christmas, because they've already started decorating for Christmas, I would assume. They probably already tore down the Spirit Halloween, already put up a Christmas tree stand. So, yeah, happy Halloween or Merry Christmas or whatever. Oh, speaking of Christmas, reminds me of gifts. I might have a little gift for you. Hopefully you can see that. I got some new stickers. I would just need your address. If you would like a sticker, I reached 1,000 subscribers and I wanted to do something nice for you since you are here and listen and hang out with me every week. So a little sticker, little silicon floresty sticker thing that hopefully you can see. The easiest way for me to get your address, just so it's all on the up and up and the privacies and all those kind of things, is to go over to Patreon, join my Patreon. There's a really low $1 a month level. Every level will get a sticker. You just need to go through that process for me to get your address, and I'll send you a sticker. Or maybe, figure out another way to give me your address. If you don't want to pay for the Patreon, that's fine too. I'm still happy to send it to you and just want you to take part in the celebration. Silicon Florist, 18 years old, and now this channel, 1,000 subscribers. So I'm really happy. Really like to celebrate those small wins, and I wanted to celebrate the small win with you. Okay, let's get into Conductor One's big raise this week. Had some, name brand VCs involved in the raise, like Greylock and Excel. They raised $79 million, which is a really substantial amount for companies around here. And I know you may be saying, wait a second, I thought they were headquartered in San Francisco. They are, but both of their founders are here. They have an office here with about 30 people. And, they are very much a Portland startup. So even in this day and age where it's really hard to define exactly what a Portland startup is, I say if their founders are here and they have a big office here, they're over in Rev Hall, Conductor One is a Portland company to me. So the next question, I guess you're asking, now that I've answered your San Francisco question, is, was $79 million the most any startup has raised in Portland this year in 2025? And it's close. They were only beat by $1 million by Hydraulics. And I wanted to give you the top companies, the top raises for this year, so you know where everybody kind of stacks up. Just we're getting near the end of the year. I wanted you to have that historical reference. So let me take you through the list. Hydraulics out of Portland, $80 million Series C. That happened in April. Conductor One at $79 million, their Series B. So that's interesting. Hydraulics is in their Series C at 80. Conductor One, Series B at 79. Eclipsium out of Portland, $45 million Series C in January. Paxton, which is out of Bend, had a $22 million Series A in January. And Ahead Computing, which is in the hardware space, building risk architecture chips. Again, I always get the hacker thing in my head.
Risk architecture is going to change everything.
The Ahead Computing with the Intel alums, they took in $21.5 million in seed in February. So those are the highest raises in Oregon this year. Really excited to see Conductor One being able to land that $79 million. Really interested to see what they do with it. They're doing the AI in the cybersecurity, and cybersecurity is a hot space. Obviously, AI is a hot space. So it's really nice to have another company that when people say, give me an example of a Portland startup, just so I have some context. Now, immediately, Conductor One also jumps to mind. Wasn't I just talking about NVIDIA reaching a $4 trillion market cap? And now all of a sudden this week, they're reaching a $5 trillion market cap? Yes, it's true. As I said, AI is pretty hot. And with NVIDIA chips powering a lot of the AI activity, people are super interested in NVIDIA. Why am I so interested in NVIDIA? Well, in case you haven't heard me mention it before, Jensen Huang, the founder of NVIDIA, went to school at Aloha High School here in the Portland area. Furthermore, he went to Oregon State University down in Corvallis. So Oregon has a very significant tie to Jensen Huang and thereby to NVIDIA. So I think it's always important to keep an eye on what they're doing. Plus, they're investing in OSU on a regular basis. Jensen and his wife, who also went there, are investing in the programs and the campus. So that's important to keep an eye on what's happening in Corvallis. But I think the other aspect of it is they are the most valuable company in the world. And for Oregon to have some kind of tie to them, some kind of tie to our tech community that is global in nature, I think is always important to keep an eye on. So I will still keep an eye on NVIDIA. And yes, I have received some critical feedback about the increasing valuations and those kind of things being akin to the irrational exuberance of the dot-com days. And yes, I agree. This feels like very familiar space to me. The very first startup I worked for, we were in the midst of the dot-com days and the dot-com insanity, and we fell prey to the dot-com bust as well. So yes, it feels very similar to those times where people are super excited about a particular technology, and that causes them to put a lot of capital to work that increases the valuations of these companies. So yes, you can argue it's a bubble, you can argue it's not a bubble. Whatever the case, it does feel very similar to the dot-com days. Only time will tell if it plays out in a similar way or if it plays out differently. So I will keep an eye on NVIDIA and, of course, Intel, which NVIDIA just invested in, and all those kind of things, just because they impact not only our community, but the broader startup community as well. That Newberry, Oregon.
So hot right now.
That's right, Mugatu. They are so very hot right now. Why? Well, there's a company called Mazama Energy. It's not headquartered in Oregon. I believe it's out of Texas, but they're running an experiment in Newberry, Oregon, which is basically the hottest geothermal energy source in the world right now. They're using it to discover potential ways to really deliver enough power for modern technology, like the power resources that AI needs to do the work that it does. And they're doing that through geothermal energy and superheated rocks and all kinds of things like that. I would assume it's a rocks and steam and rocks and energy kind of thing, but I don't know. I'm no scientist. I'm just saying it's the hottest geothermal thing on Earth right now in terms of trying to leverage geothermal for energy production. How hot is it? I'm really glad you asked. It is 629 degrees Fahrenheit or 331 degrees Celsius. That's almost 3 times the boiling point. So that would be getting boiling water and then making it that hot and then that hot again. So that's really warm. That is definitely hot. So I'm going to keep an eye on this, even though it's not an Oregon company. I just find it super interesting that it's occurring in Oregon and that we have resources, these geothermal resources that allow people to experiment with these kinds of energy production and technology and those kind of things. And I was going to use a Fahrenheit 451 analogy to describe how hot it was, but that just seemed to be a little too on the nose for the timeline we're living through right now. So I'll just say 3 times the boiling point. But again, super interesting, hottest spot on Earth, Newberry, Oregon. Look, I know you're busy. I know you're not really procrastinating. You just have a lot to do. But I want to remind you that you only have 1 more week before your South by Southwest pitch application is due. South by Southwest pitch, what's that? Well, I know I told you several times, but there's this massive gathering that occurs every year in March in Austin, Texas, called South by Southwest. It originally started as a music festival, and then they added other facets to it. The interactive became this kind of tech startup-y thing, like Twitter launched down there, Foursquare launched down there. They added an educational component. They added movies, all kinds of things. Huge festival, South by Southwest. And if you apply for South by Southwest pitch, you have the potential of getting on stage down there in front of all those people. The thousands and thousands of people that will be down there, you could be pitching to them. But you could also be pitching to a great group of judges who would have compelling feedback on your startup or might say, your pitch is great. Here's a bunch of prize money. Good job. I don't know. I won't know unless you apply, which you have to do now because you only have a week left. Plus, if that's not enough motivation, maybe creating more work for me would be motivating for you, because I happen to be a longtime judge, first round judge for South by Southwest pitch. So basically what happens is every Thanksgiving, I kind of sit there and read startup pitches all day, every day, to get through all of the pitches and vote. You know, I have to rank and vote all those things. So I might see your application come through. I would love to see your application come through, but more importantly, I would love to see you on stage at South by Southwest. So please stop procrastinating or move this to the top of your task list for this week. You need to apply for South by Southwest pitch in order to be considered for the March 2026 event. Finally, another one. This is not a happy one at all. Obviously, you've been following what's going on with folks who rely on SNAP benefits to feed themselves, to feed their kids, to feed their families. And the whole federal government shutdown is running afoul of that and creating a whole bunch of problems for folks who are probably already dealing with enough and don't need yet another problem. And the other, the positive of this whole negative situation is there have been a bunch of proprietors here in Portland who have raised their hand to say, if you need food, if you want a meal, if you want some chowder, if you want a coffee, whatever, and you're on SNAP, we will give you that free of charge. And it's really, really Portland at its best. People stepping up to support their fellow citizens and just to help them through a really stupid and horrible situation. So if you are a founder who's taking advantage of SNAP because things are tight, or if you know somebody who uses SNAP benefits, I'm going to link up a list that Mitch Doherty created. Mitch Doherty is the head of the Office of Small Business for Portland. He works over at Prosper Portland, but and he was my co-founder with Built Oregon back in the day. But he's just really, when these situations occur, like Mitch's brain just snaps into action. It's like, hey, I got to create a list of stuff so people can find the stuff that they need. So he created another list of all the folks who are willing and able to provide benefits to SNAP. Like Heretic Coffee is probably the one you've heard of. I think they've raised more than $250,000 to help people with this situation. So it's very real, and the support is becoming very real. So a number of folks, everything from like burritos to donuts, are giving away food and sustenance for people who might be able to benefit from that because of the situation with SNAP. So I just wanted not only to encourage you to share that list with people if it's valuable to them, but let's remember this 6 months from now when all of the hype and kind of news cycle has passed, and let's make a pact to continue to patronize those establishments that stepped up and helped in this time of need, because they're getting a lot of press now and a lot of attention, and people are very much aware of them. But in 6 months, that news cycle will have passed, and I think it's important that we keep in mind who helped in this time of need and continue to support them going forward. So I just wanted to mention that thing about SNAP. I realize it's not the happiest news. If you need more information on what's going on, our friend Sylvia Salazar over at Tona Latino is doing a great job of reporting on it, as she does with all political things. So I will link up her channel so you can get more information over there if you need it. But again, always nice to see Portland step up to help one another. And for what an awful situation this is, it's really nice to see the good that can come of it and the good that Portland is capable of doing. Okay, that's a wrap. Wow, that got really almost tear-jerky there at the end. Apologies for that. Portland really just does good work when with bad situations. So this is the time. It's just you and me. Everybody else is gone now. They all left when they saw me getting choked up talking about Portland. So it's just you and me. This is where I share little secrets or kind of like insights about what's going on. Again, like if you want a sticker, please, I would love to send you a sticker and a thank you note for being a subscriber, for hanging out here with me. I just feel like you got to celebrate those small wins, and you're part of this small win. I don't hit that 1,000 subscribers without you here. So thank you. I'll say it to you. Thank you. But I would also like to thank you with a sticker, and potentially just like, I would like to do more stuff like that just on a consistent basis. Like, you are always kind enough to support me. I would like to do some things to like make you happy and help you out. So that's of interest to you. Please do that. Thank you. Last week or the week before on Secrets, I kind of teased. I was like, I think I should do this interview thing with founders. And then I was like, nope, quit thinking about it. You got to do it. Even if it's not perfect, done beats perfect. Just go do it. And so I did. And so I announced it. And now I have more than 20 interviews lined up with founders around the region. So I'm excited to get those conversations going, and excited to hear stories from founders and to share those stories with you, obviously. But there's still room for tons more. And there are tons of people working on interesting things around here. So if you're a founder, or you know a founder, or you work at a startup locally and you're allowed to speak on behalf of that startup, or maybe you are thinking about starting a thing and you feel like you have enough of a pitch down to talk to me about it, it's really short form, 15 minutes. It's an open book test. I give you all the questions so you can kind of read through those. I may ask some follow-up questions, but they're going to be stupid simple. They're going to be like, I'm an idiot. And so it's going to be me leveraging my idiocy to say, here's an incredibly simple question that you can obviously answer that will provide more context for me and potentially other people watching. So I'm excited to get those interviews going, excited to start publishing those. So be on the lookout for those on the YouTube channel. I have started a separate podcast thread for those. So if you listen to this on a weekly basis and you're like, yeah, I really just tune in for the news, that's all good. I will just keep this stream, this podcast will just be the news, and there will be a separate podcasts that are the interviews, which makes me think on Patreon, I have like an all-in podcast feed as well. So if you're like, look, I don't want to subscribe to multiple shows. I would just want one show that you provide. If you subscribe to the all up feed on Patreon with your favorite podcast platform, it'll pull in all the episodes I post. So that means you'll get the weekly news, you'll get any interviews I do, and you'll get the long con as well when I have those very, very long conversations with people. So that's kind of what's going on there. In that vein, as I blow snot out my nose, in that vein, excuse me, of testing things, I also kind of threw out the idea, I think I did a poll on LinkedIn or something about an Ask Me Anything session, kind of a live Ask Me Anything session, and people seemed into that, seemed like that would be a good idea. So I'm going to schedule an AMA, be on the lookout for that. I will live stream it to the YouTube channel, and you are welcome to submit questions ahead of time. You can drop them in comments, you can send them to me, you can DM me, you can send them to me on LinkedIn, whatever you want to do to get me the questions. Feel free to get me those questions ahead of time, or you're welcome to attend the AMA and submit those questions in real time. So whatever you want to do, whatever is most convenient for you, I'm happy to support. Whatever. It would be nice to have a queue of questions that I could kind of run through in case there's some dead air or like there's, people aren't asking questions. But I'm going to plan that a couple weeks out. So mid-November, prior to Thanksgiving, because I think it could be important to help people as they're starting to think about the new year, like, what they might be planning to do or what resources might be at their disposal. So AMA coming up again. I'm getting into that. I got to quit talking about this. I just got to actually do it. And so that's what I did with interviews. And now I've gotten myself into that trouble. Now I'm doing that with the AMA as well. Another thing I wanted to mention, a good friend of mine from the tech community, startup community from way back, named Jeremy Tanner, has just moved to town. So shout out to Jeremy. If you were a Twitter user back in the day, he was Penguin on Twitter. If you did anything with Startup Weekend, he was often involved in Startup Weekend. He would come here to help support Startup Weekend. He was a kind of like developer advocate kind of person who would show up for random hackathons here and there. I think I first met him on Twitter in 2007 or so, and first met him in person at South by Southwest. So full circle moment. Get your South by Southwest application in. South by Southwest pitch applications are due in a week. But Jeremy's here in town. He's now a Portland resident. Great person. Tons of experience, and I believe he currently works at NVIDIA. So coming whole full circle again from all the way, call back to the top of the show with the NVIDIA. So welcome, Jeremy. Glad you're here. I did a mildly interesting people interview with Jeremy way back when, so maybe I'll link that up so you have some more details on him. But just be on the lookout for Jeremy at upcoming events, and please say hi, make him feel welcome. Just a great person to have move to the community. I'm super psyched he's here, and super psyched to have his energy in Portland. Cool. All right. Well, again, if it's Friday, happy Halloween. If it's past Friday, Merry Christmas. To start thinking through the startup Santa stuff all over again, because it's that time of year, and put on the Mariah Carey and all that kind of thing. All right. I hope you're holding up. I hope you're hanging in there. And until we get the chance to chat again, please keep up the good work.